Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're going to be discussing Tigra and where I believe she's going to land in kind of like competitive scene. What is she going to be all about, so on and so forth. Now I am a bit late in making this video. I should have made it a couple days ago when the information was dropped, but I have been quite busy outside of the game and with plenty of other things happening, so my apologies for the delay, but let's jump to it. Now I'm not going to read all of her abilities or all of the description lines, so on and so forth. The base point before I actually get to her stuff, so to speak. Her prestige is quite good. It's somewhere in top 20. It's nothing game breaking, it's not Doom, it's not Silver Surfer, but it's still solid enough for her to be considered a good prestige champion. And yeah, she is of a mystic class yet again. So this year we are getting a whole abundance of mystics. I think she's like the 4th mystic released this year, and that's a huge amount proportionally if you consider that she's going to be like 11th or 12th champion in the game this year. So yeah, basically mystics are just coming thick and fast in the game right now. Now her abilities are actually very simple. She doesn't have too much in kind of like terms of utility set or abilities. There are no immunities, there are no typical mystic stuff like nullify abilities outside of this neutralize, which effectively is a stagger. So she's going to be able to deal with buffs, but not in a like your standard mystic way where you are able to nullify a lot of stuff very easily. And yeah, there's no power control, so on and so forth. Though she does seem like quite unorthodox mystic champion. Basically she has two core mechanics, two kind of core abilities, which is that neutralize, which is effectively, as I said before, a stagger that you refresh every time you land a hit, and whenever you kind of do successfully prevent a buff from activating, you inflict rupture, which is her second mechanic, and there will be more ways how you can inflict ruptures on your opponent. And with that, effectively, you deal damage. It's physical damage, damage over time, seemingly because it says like over X amount of seconds, but it will also enable you to have access to burst physical damage. So that is about it. There is no magic. There's nothing kind of like overly crazy about her. Now, the thing that will actually be her niche kind of like way of approaching the game and what will make her probably the best option for certain specific matchups is the fact that all non-contact hits from special attacks have a 100% chance to miss while she's charging her heavy attack. And that effectively will work in a similar kind of fashion like a ghost, but will also make her extremely heavy attack reliant, which is going to be quite evident later on as well. So she's a champion that's going to place a lot of debuffs that will have access to power gain when she is inflicting rupture, if she's one of her modes, which I'm going to get to in a second. And she's going to be racing to drop her level 2. So she's actually looking kind of like a somewhat mystic version of a Sunspot, but without the perfect block, which is what made Sunspot great. Now, the good thing again about Rupture is the fact that nothing and no one is immune to it. It's not like a Shock, Bleed, Poison, Incinerate, Cold Snap. That is not like an wildly known damage over time debuff. So effectively, she has the benefit of any other champion that places debuffs, standard debuffs on opponent, because there are no immunity to Rupture in the game at all, as of now. There are obviously champions who deal with debuffs, which will cause her some problems, but at the same time, nothing is kind of like specifically immune to Rupture, which is going to be beneficial for her. Now, she has these two modes where you can enter either via special attack, and then you can cycle every time you drop a special attack which mode you want to play with, or if she is awakened, then you start the fight with both of these modes active up until 12 seconds duration, or you can access both of these modes at the same time as well if you throw a special 3 attack. And I think the awakened ability is going to be like a key factor, because you really do want both of these modes active at the same time. Now, whenever inflicting rupture, deal a burst of damage, that is obviously going to help her with damage considerably. And looking at all of her abilities, it does look like she's going to be quite high damage output champion, which kind of like inspired in my head the similarity to Sunspot over there, as well as her secondary ability, because whenever inflicting rupture or causing the opponent to miss, generate 10% of a bar of power. So she will be able to kind of like increase her rate of power gain and cycle her special attacks quicker. One thing that I think will probably be key to success of this champion is because duration of these modes is paused while opponent is neutralized, which I kind of like explained at the beginning of the video should be majority of the fight, because you inflict it for 2.5 seconds. It refreshes every time you land a hit. So outside of extremely long special attack animations or the times where AI is absolutely refusing to throw a special attack, you will pretty much always be pausing your primal sense, your hunter sense, and that means that those 12 seconds or 14 seconds will likely last extremely long amount of time. Kind of similarly to how stealth suits by these fury and precision buffs last for majority of the fight typically, and you do not really need to be bothered by refreshing them if you're kind of like fighting aggressively and if you're dashing back a lot. So I think she's gonna have like the same kind of like idea where you can start with it and keep for majority of the fight, and then you have access to both of these benefits at the same time, which will let you increase your power gain and deal more damage. So effectively she seems kind of like a champion somewhat similar to Sunspot in my head, possibly extremely great damage output, but instead of perfect block, she's gonna have this stagger ability that she can utilize. And when you think about it, the ability to kind of like face special attacks or just perfect block them all, it's also somewhat similar, but obviously phasing all of them completely will be more beneficial if those special attacks are unblockable. But yeah, so to me, once again, I probably will say this for like the 4th time, I think she's gonna shine extremely in some very specific niche matchups where you have to deal with undexable special attacks like Punisher 2099, War Machine, Falcon, and I think those are gonna be the matchups where she can unleash her full potential, because then she's going to gain a lot of extra power, she's going to deal plenty of extra damage, and she's going to get her special attacks quicker and the fights will go much faster. But in an average matchup, I think she's going to be still somewhat high damage output champion, because realistically, if she isn't, there isn't anything else going on for her. And if she is not dealing high amounts of damage, she is unfortunately gonna be pretty much worthless as a champion. So damage is pretty much a must for this ability set, because even with extremely high damage, she's still going to be relatively situational, as I said, because there's a lack of immunities. There are no particular sets or powerful utilities outside of being able to phase non-contact special attacks. So kind of, if you think about it, the damage has to be there, and I have a sneaking suspicion that since she is an unknown character, and quite typically those are getting quite serious damage, just like Ghost for instance, I think she is going to be one of those champions that do have access to large amounts of damage, but that will not make her necessarily be-all end-all character. Now overall, I do expect her to fit in quite well. I do think she's one of those champions that you kind of do want to have. She's not going to be a champion that you use all day, every day. If she has high damage output champion, she's obviously might be a good version for like casual questing. When it comes to her like compatibility with Alliance War, I can definitely see some fights where that stagger plus quicker power gain plus those rapture debuffs could make her a viable option, especially combined with Mystic Dispersion, which she will have access to as a Mystic champion. But all in all, again, I think she's gonna have more of a role of Dr. Octopus, for instance, where you have these improved power gain nodes where he is the absolute best counter. In her case, there are going to be these fights with extremely high block, like let's say in Act 6 when you're fighting Cable or when you're fighting Punisher, you don't want to take this huge damage on the block, or you want to phase them all completely, and that is where she's going to shine. Overall, I have a sneaking suspicion, once again, that yeah, she's going to be high damage output champion with some unique niche utility, which is something I typically look for in a champion, and therefore I'm quite intrigued by her. I still have plenty of questions, I still have some doubts about her, but I'm certainly much more interested in this champion than I am in Hitmonkey myself. Now, she does have some interesting synergies. I think the most beneficial for her would be the one with either Howard the Duck and Vulture, where her heavy attack damage increased by 50%, which once again is going to be the default way you want to play her, because yeah, you want to throw those heavy attacks together, those raptures going, so on and so forth. And then Elsa Bloodstone has this interesting synergy, which basically lets you ignore True Strike or True Accuracy if you're fighting final fight in the quest, plus your debuffs last 4 seconds longer, and 4 seconds is a long extended duration for them. So I think that synergy will make for some interesting fights with the Elsa against some I don't know, Alliance war bosses, for instance, because then if you can still find easy openings against default Alliance war bosses, now it might necessarily translate well to an endgame scenario, but I think in kind of like mid-tier wars, this could make Elsa Bloodstone as like a really solid boss killer option in Alliance war. But all in all, yeah, as I said, I'm definitely much more interested in Tigra than I am in Hitmonkey, because I don't expect too much of that guy. With this lady, I still cannot say for sure that she's going to be like crazy or insane, but she does seem to have the makings of a champion I personally am quite interested in. I definitely would want to see how she works and how her all abilities actually kind of like piece together and how fluid it is, and all that good stuff, and what her damage numbers actually look like. So I'm going to be waiting, for instance, for Kebab's deep dive quite with a huge interest, basically, because yeah, this is a champion that I would definitely see myself trying to acquire at some point or another, and how ranked. But again, I do think her signature ability is going to be pretty much a must. But yeah, that will pretty much do for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Tigra? I know many people are quite disappointed about her in-game graphics and graphic art, animation, outfit, call it how you will. Many people were expecting something quite a bit different, but this is what we have out here. But yeah, all that being said, this is me done for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, then hey, here's a little bit of Baby Yoda drinking from his little cup over here. And if that still didn't melt your heart and encourage you to leave a like, well, then I guess there's no helping you. All that being said, yeah, catch you guys next time. See ya.